So Josh Allen unfortunately put himself in a position, like Freddie said, Super Bowl or bust. It's not AFC Championship or bust. It's not playoffs or bust. It's Super Bowl or bust. That's what the Bills' particular stature is. Now, is it a good thing or bad thing? We don't know. But right now, that's what it's looking like, Super Bowl or bust. And unfortunately, it's a couple teams in this AFC that have a very similar stature, Super Bowl or bust. And we're going to talk about it more right now.
And speaking of Super Bowl or bust, in Joe Burrow's we trust. Okay, is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the AFC, Cuzzo?
Listen, man, this dude is tough. This dude is mean. He brings a certain type of swag, bravado that you can't teach. You just can't, right? The man, and he ain't boasting. He ain't trying to come out of character. He ain't trying to be somebody that he's not. He is who he is and very comfortable in who he is. I respect this man at the highest level. But again, I want to pause on being the best in today, because until you win championships, why are we throwing you flowers? Okay? Do it again. Like, he go beat Patrick Mahomes again, it'd be hard for me to say not, right? I mean, you go beat Patrick Mahomes 2 times in his home. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is hurt. That means something to me. But we do got to pause on giving people these flowers before they win championships, because it raises the bar to what? So anytime somebody have a good game or a good season, we just say they the best right away? That's how we do it? No, that's not how we do it. We know better than that. People can have a good season and fall. Look at Josh Allen now trending down. When before we had him right there with Patrick Mahomes, which I never agreed to, because I said, no, Patrick Mahomes probably still better than him, because I got to see Josh Allen do it. That's just my flow on the way I do sports. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow is right there. I mean, I'll take that dude almost pretty much anybody in the NFL. He's a mean dude, tough dude. I put it this way. If I'm a Kansas City fan, I'll be scared when I'm playing against this dude right now. That's how good he is. He's so poised. His temperament is so great. He does everything at a high level. I want that dude in big games. Freddie says some status. But to answer the question, not yet.
I got a question for you. Who would you rank higher? All honesty.
Yeah.
Dan Marino or Aaron Rodgers all time?
Dan Marino.
Cool.
Right away.
Did he win a championship?
No, but hold up a second, cousin. I got what you're saying. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, Dan Marino didn't win a championship. We didn't give him his flowers, right? I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, Dan Marino and he just did stuff that was just totally different.
That was an
Totally
right?
different.
Just did it, right?
Nah, it was totally different. Trust me. Because
you see this day, right?
Here.
You see,
I don't
stumbling, my brother. You know ropes.
I don't want to go here. I hate to go here. It was a harsher NFL. Much harsher NFL, right? When you can grab the wide receivers, the windows wasn't as wide open. When you can hold a wide receiver all the way down the field, when you can take 3 steps until hit a quarterback, the NFL was a harsher sport. If Dan Marino played
about to go Julius from everybody hits Chris.
Right.
You're gonna be here for a minute.
No. If Dan Marino played in today's game, he will be just tearing this league up, because he was putting that ball in windows when the cornerback can hold the receiver all the way down the field. It's a totally different NFL. Now you went, and if you'd have said Dan Marino versus Joe Montana, Dan Marino versus John Elway, although I think Dan Marino had more talent, but I won't put him over John Elway, because John Elway played in that era. And I watched John Elway do it under the same conditions. So when you asking me to compare Dan Marino and Aaron Rodgers, it's 2 different eras. And I know that era was harsher, and that's why I probably would take Dan Marino. That's the only reason. Now, if you give me 2 people in the same era, then we will have a discussion.
He brought up the errors. That's the defense that he had.
I can't help it.
It's crazy.
I can't help it.
The reason why I bring that up is because, according to Freddie, you're judged, or you should be judged, at the elitist of the elite based on championships. But yet he doesn't believe, for the reasons he explained, that Aaron Rodgers, who won a chip, is higher all time than Dan Marino. First of all, for me to answer the own question that I threw his way, Dan Marino, of course, I'll rank him higher than Aaron Rodgers. And that's because of the eye test. That's because of what I seen, in the highlights, right? That's because we can tell certain things from the eye test. So from the eye test perspective, and I answer this question, I'm going Joe Burrow, right? The ring didn't make no difference to me. Now, in all fairness, and I am going to be fair here, the MVP this season is Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
No question about that. He is the MVP this season. Okay, so you're probably talking about a second MVP, right? And there's a lot of factors and variables to that. Number one, let's say, for an example, right? Jalen Hurts, who was competing with him, who Cuzzo a couple weeks ago said that he was the MVP.
Yeah, then he got hurt.
He got hurt, missing 2 games, right? So
Yeah.
literally, he missed 2 games. Also, me personally, at the time, I had Joe Burrow ahead because he beat Mahomes this year, head to head.
Right.
And if that game did not get suspended between him and the Bills, he would have beat Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the same calendar year. So how the hell he doesn't get it if everything played out the way how it was supposed to? You got to give it to him, right? So I would have went that way. But the suspended game, the Jalen Hurts injury, Mahomes was already top 3 in the discussion, and I was honest about that. He's the MVP, clear. But if you talk about this, like in general, the best quarterback in the AFC, he beat him last year. He's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
He's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. And you know what? I'm not going to make no predictions on the show, but it's a great chance he might be 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes after next week. So I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. If Joe Montana and Tom Brady had a baby, it would be Joe Burrow. He's cool as a cucumber. He's never rattled. He doesn't have the offensive line that Patrick Mahomes have. Patrick Mahomes have the #1 offensive line in football. Joe Burrow does not. He had 3 injuries in this game, headed into the game yesterday. It did not matter. And remember, when Mahomes didn't have his lineman in the Super Bowl, we know how that handled. We know how that got handled. It was like Tom and Jerry out there. Okay? So for me, to answer this question, and I'm going to pass the rock to Zay, Joe Burrow is the #1 quarterback to me in the AFC.
Gotcha.
Oh man, I'm really on the fence when it comes to the best quarterback in the AFC because it could go either way between these 2 guys. But I might have to lean towards Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty. The man is just different. We understand how dynamic Patrick Mahomes is, but I just see when you look at Joe Burrow as a quarterback, he just looks like he's cold-blooded. I think Mahomes try to take you out with finesse, the no-look passes, the runs, the jukes. The over the sky hook pass they call it. They threw it across the field. But just Joe Burrow is he's not fazed by a bad offensive line. He's not fazed by guys being hurt. He attacks anybody at any given time. He attacks any defense, no matter who it looks like, who it may be. And he has this pinpoint accuracy about him that he could get the ball to anywhere at any given time. And it's just something that is dynamic. And that's how you put him. That's how you look at when you say the best quarterback in the AFC, you look at him. I think Mahomes a couple of years ago when he had the 50 touchdowns, you look at him like that's the quarterback. That's the best quarterback in the NFL. But Joe Burrow this year is just different. The Bengals started off slow. They didn't start off as dynamic as we thought they would. And he just turned it up a different level. He put the heat on everybody. It's kind of crazy. So Joe Burrow, for me, best quarterback in the AFC.
Listen, from a technical standpoint, putting 2 hands on the ball, feet always in the right spot. You know what I mean? Protecting the ball and things like that. No, listen, he's a technician. I'm not going against Joe Burrow. The dude is a problem, right? But here's the funny thing, right? Now, Joe Burrow, he goes into Kansas City and beat Kansas City, right? It'd be hard for me to make this argument. Very hard, right? That's fair to say. But when if he lose? Are we still going to say he's better than Patrick Mahomes? And we're going to change our opinion in 1 week, right? I saw Patrick Mahomes do it. So I still got to lean on Patrick Mahomes. But Joe Burrow losing Kansas City next week. I'm going to come on TV. I'm going to come on here and say, yep, Joe Burrow's still better than him. No, I'm not. Both of y'all arguments will be shut down real fast. And I'll be like, clearly he's the better quarterback. It'll be that fast. It'll be that easy. Because of the numbers, because of what he did, or what he's done in the past, what he's doing now, that'll be that easy. And that's a hollow argument when they're about to play each other head to head. So I think we should pause and wait a week before we even come up with who is the best quarterback.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to throw another question your way.
Hit me with it, baby.
What was the best thing about Tom Brady's playoff record? The fact that it was a home court advantage that he had for a lot of years, or the fact that he went on the road and won at Kansas City and all of them games he went on the road to get there?
Listen, okay, no doubt. Listen, Tom Brady was the guy, and clearly winning on the road is more impressive. Ain't no question about that. Here's the funny thing about
that's
Tom
all
Brady.
The answer I needed.
Hold on. Here's the funny thing about that. During the height of Tom Brady, I mean, during the height, you're a Tom Brady fan, you're a Tom Brady historian. So during the height in real time, people questioned, was he better than Peyton Manning? And I never did, because I can see it, because he did it, Peyton Manning was pitting up regular season numbers. I seen him beat Tom Brady in the regular season. Playoff come, he gets smacked. I'm like, well, how is he better than him? He's not. Clearly. Okay. So again, no matter how, and Peyton Manning, you could say did a lot of things better than Tom Brady. You can say that. You can say the MVPs. You can say these touchdowns. You can say all of these things he was doing that was great. But no, he didn't win a championship. I'm not pitting him over Tom Brady, right?
And the playoffs, exactly. You kind of made my argument too, in a way, because the playoffs is where I'm more concerned when we talk about, who's who. And obviously, both quarterbacks in the playoffs, they have succeeded. Okay, right. You can look at the 5 straight AFC championship game appearances, but you can also look at the 1 Super Bowl in those 5 meetings that they have. Right. Joe Burrow obviously is missing that silver hardware, but he went on the road. He went on the road and beat Mahomes. He's won more road games because Mahomes haven't had to go on the road. So I think that's what makes this question compelling.
No,
but to me,
that's a fair point. Mahomes never played on the road, and we don't even know can he go do it on the road like that. Not that we don't think he could play in some other place, but at the end of the day, in the playoffs, it is different. It is.
Of course. And I mean, come on, no problem, right? He got sacked 9 times, Joe Burrow, against Tennessee. They won that game. No problem. Then they go on the road to the Chiefs last year, down 20-0 too. That's what makes it suspenseful. The fact that they were down 3 scores, and he came back and won that game. He went into Buffalo yesterday.
And to buffer your point, to be fair, okay, Joe Burrows went on the road, took out the number 1 seed last year, the number 2 seed last year, took out the number 2 seed last year, and going on the road for the number 1 seed this year. So at the end of the day, he's been an underdog to the point where he don't care because he said, as long as I'm here, our Super Bowl windows is open. That's basically what he said. I don't care where we stacked up, where we playing at. Give me a football, give me 100 yards, and I'll play anybody. Trust me, you got bravado. He does.
And my last point here. How about we talk about the bias commentating? Y'all noticed that over the weekend? Am I the only one? Because I know I'm not.
I always said bias commentating, though.
It was the commentating was so biased. First of all, let's start off with Chris Collinsworth. When it came to Patrick Mahomes, the guy threw an incompletion. That was the best pass I ever seen in my life. Okay, Josh Allen and Tony Romo. Oh, Superman! Superman this, Superman that. But where's that same energy for Joe Burrow? Where's that same energy? I don't hear no nicknames. Only Joe Cool. Come on. Only Joe Cool. And I don't even hear the commentator calling him that.
I agree with that. And that's only because, like you said, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes was put on a pedestal as shiny toys. Joe Burrow is a durable toy that just don't break.
And that's the problem. But you address the problem that you saw in the media. I'm going to address this problem that I see in the media. We fall in love with the okie doke. Oh, he's a physical specimen. He could throw the football 65 yards, 70 yards, right? We do the same thing in the NBA. Nobody talks about Steph being the best player in the world or top 5, right? Because we look at Giannis, okay? We look at guys like LeBron. We do it all the time. But all you have to do is win, and that should matter the most. But clearly, winning doesn't matter the most if you really think about it.
But it should.
But it should.